Welcome to today's math lesson. Only 2 lessons to go. And so I thought we'd do a couple lessons that are a little bit more enjoyable than others. We're going to first review positive and negative numbers, and we're going to look at another concept today that applies this idea. And tomorrow we'll end the year with, I would say, a fun strategy for students who have done the lesson in the past. So I think you guys will really enjoy tomorrow. All right, so quick review. This is what we're looking at here. We're reviewing positive and negative numbers again. Remember to note the difference between the positive and negative. A handful of you guys, when we got to positives and negatives on our last assignment, just added everything together, and that's definitely not what you have to do. So I listed 3 ways that we've talked about doing this to think of negatives as temperatures, the temperature going down. We have the number line, and then that one word problem, which I think got some of you guys. This is a debit card, all right? So note the spelling. And so when you have a debit card, even though you get the item, it is doing a negative into your bank account. So let's say that you buy a movie for $10, all right? So when you use your debit card, you can get the movie or get the movie ticket, but in your account balance, this is what it's showing right there. Then the opposite of that was the word deposit, and that means to put money into your account. So notice the difference between the two. All right, so just a couple examples, and we'll go into today's lesson. So again, let's just look at all 3 of these. All right, let's take it one at a time here. So we have starting point -8, right? So this is a thermometer. It's 8 below, and now it is getting colder outside, so that means my temperature is dropping, so it's going to be more negative. So it's the same as adding 2 negative numbers together. All right, so we saw that on the number line here. All right, so we started at -8, and now we are getting greater to the negative side. We're losing 11. We're going to the left by 11. All right, so it's just adding 8 and 11. That's 19, but that would be to the negative side. All right, this one here, we have our debit card. All right, so we have 2 debits in these transactions. The first one, you bought something that cost $8, and now in the second one, you bought something that cost $11. And so your debit card balance, your bank balance, is going to show $19 of money taken out of your account. And then the last way, which will become more useful in just a minute, are IOU slips. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. There was this movie called Dumb and Dumber, maybe made before you were born, but maybe you guys have seen it, where our friends in the movie decide to borrow money and then use a IOU slip to say they're going to pay it back in the suitcase there. But this is the whole idea that you take money, and then on this piece of paper, you're saying, I owe you $11. So if you started off here by owing somebody $8, and then here owing somebody 11 more dollars, you now owe someone or owe people $19 total. All right, so a couple other ways to look at these now. So we have -3 plus 7, and we've been talking about the absolute values. All right, if you understand that, these become very, very simple. You'll see right away that the answer should be one way, right? Because our positive number is greater than our negative number. Our 7 absolute is bigger than our 3 absolute, so that means our sign at the end is going to be positive. And the cool thing that you guys can do with positive and negative numbers is you can do this, is you can move the first number and move it to the end. Now take a look. That becomes a lot easier to read, perhaps. Ignore the plus, because again, if a number doesn't have a sign, it's always positive. 7 minus 3, been doing that since first grade, right? So that's what you can always do, is you can take the first number and move it to the end. All right, so very easy way to solve that one, right? So that would be 4. All right, next one. Sorry, here we go. So did I skip this one here? I did. All right, so -9 plus 3. I wanted to show you guys this. So if I just move it to the side, right? So what does this mean? I have 3 minus 9 now. I started with $3. I lost more than I have, so my 6 has to be on the negative side. All right, so now on to the Post-it note example. All right, so this is where I think the Post-it note can be a really, really good one. All right, because in this case, let's look at what we have. All right, so I start with 7. So let's say I have $7 in my account. Now I am going to lose, and take a look at what this is right here, right? So ignore the negative. I just want you guys to look at this for a second. So it's basically saying this, is I owe somebody $6, right? That's this part of the transaction. But now look at what the negative means. The negative also means not in math and not doing. So when I have a minus minus, a subtracting a negative, it's like saying I am not going to do that part right there. So it means that I have a IOU slip right here. Okay, no, it's letting me move this over here, unfortunately. Here we go. Sorry. All right, it is not letting me move that over, unfortunately. But I do not owe somebody $6 anymore. All right, so I had $7, and now I am not going to owe somebody $6. So what does that mean? It means that $6 I was going to pay out technically goes back to what I have, and I'm going to add it together. All right, so that's kind of the math concept behind it. So whenever I subtract a negative, it means I'm not going to do the negative. So it means I'm going to have the money. Let's use the debit slip, for example. All right, so if you're going to be charged a debit of $6, right, but the subtraction says I'm not going to have this, that means that money I thought was going out of my account is now going back in, and so I have $13. All right, so it's kind of a cool way to look at things. All right, this is another way to look at it, the way that it's set up. Okay, take a look at what I have. All right, so I have minus minus, and guess what a plus sign is made up of? Two lines like that, right? A minus and a minus the other direction. And so I can take that sign and I can stick it down here, and then it goes away. And then I have 7 plus 6 equals 13. So you can only do that when you have negative negative. All right, so two negatives becomes a positive. It's also known as the double negative rule. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go down here a slide. It's not letting me go down a slide. Here we go. All right, so take a look. I have a starting point of -5, and now I am going to not subtract 10. All right, so where's my 5 here? You can see I changed my number line there. So here's 5. All right, and what does this mean now? I am going to not subtract -10. All right, so it means I'm going to go this way 10 units. All right, I owed somebody $10. This says I'm not doing it now, so I don't owe that person anymore. So that's like money in my pocket. All right, or you could use the method we just talked about. All right, so the double negative rule is the minus negative. This line right here is going to come over here and make that a positive, and now I'm left with this, -5 plus 10. So it goes back to the problems we were just doing it. Positive number is bigger than my negative number. My answer has to be +5. All right, one more example. All right, how about here? So I have $10 negative balance, and now I am going to subtract a -10. So what's the rule? Double negatives. A double negative becomes a positive. Put those two together. So -10 plus +10. All right, equals, and this is where those are opposites now. That would be 0. I lost $10, and now I earned $10. All right, so that's where I was. I earned $10. I go back to 0. All right, so whatever is easiest for you guys to remember. When I was learning this, I just thought of it as in the two parts, right? The two lines, the two negatives become a positive. Remember, then that cancels out of your second number. Don't look at it anymore. All right, the owing money might help some of you guys. The debit card example might help some of you guys, or even a thermometer. All right, so we start at 10 below, and now it is not going down 10 degrees. Okay, so that means it's got to go up 10 degrees. It's doing the opposite. All right, so that is the whole idea there, and make sure that you're being careful today as you're going from problem to problem. Don't be caught doing the same thing for everything. You really have to think it through. One last example, what do I have? I lost $45, I lost $10, negative, which means I'm going to have a larger negative number, right? So I add the numbers, 45 plus 10, 55, right? But since they're both negatives, it becomes a negative. All right, so any questions, let me know. All right, otherwise, should be another good day of scores for you guys.